Hello, my name is Bruce Cain. I'm going to be running as a write-in candidate for President of the United States in 2016. Today, I want to discuss why it's so important for us to insist that all these illegal alien children that are invading our country, that every one of them is sent home and sent home immediately. This is an existential crisis for the United States and its people, legal citizens of this country. The other day I was talking with Ann Cochran of the Refugee Resettlement Watch, and we were discussing why all these religious groups, Catholic organizations, are bringing in so many of these illegal immigrants and foreign immigrants to the country. And she agreed with me. A lot of it is about this globalist agenda that we call Agenda 21, and it may also be on the part of a lot of Americans this guilt, like, we need to take care of these poor kids. And I mean, I empathize with that completely, but there's another humanitarian crisis that we're facing right now, and that is the humanitarian crisis that's affecting the legal citizens of this country, which happen to be black, white, Hispanic, Muslim, Catholic. The difference is they're legal citizens. And this is an existential crisis that's going to cost us hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars if we don't nip this in the bud right now. So this is a very informal discussion. I'm going to provide a number of links so you can read some of the articles that I'm referring to here. And let's see, how should we start this? I think I'm going to start with this graph I put together, which is called How Legal Citizens Are Misled About the Negative Consequences of Mass Immigration. And the construct, which I call the invisible pyramid, this could be applied to immigration, it could be applied to the prison industrial complex, it could be applied to the New World Order, or state control of marijuana, not allowing people to grow their own or sell their own. It could be applied to a whole list of things. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this graph up. My other computer is broke, so I don't have I have limited abilities here. So I'm going to show this to you first, so bear with me. Okay. So I want you to take a good look at this. Okay. So you might want to stop your thing right now so you can kind of look at it. Okay. Have you had a good look? Okay. If you want, you can come back and just stop the video. But I want to discuss that right now. So what we have here is what I call the invisible pyramid. And what I mean by this is that most of us that watch the media only see this bottom part of the pyramid, and that's pretty much how we get our view of the world. You'll see this if you're somebody that just listens to corporate media like CNN, Fox, MSNBC, or listen to these corporately selected politicians or these corporate lobbying groups. That's your view of the world, basically. What most of you don't see is that above that, what you have really is the Democrats are controlled by a man named Soros. George Soros is a senior advisor to Obama. And he has a whole umbrella of organizations, Tides, Open Borders. He is involved with a lot of drug reform organizations. And you rarely hear about this guy. Very often you hear a lot of things on MSNBC about the Koch brothers and Alec, And so the view that we're being given, we'll talk just specifically about immigration. The view that you're given from this lower part of the pyramid are such things on immigration that, first we have to secure the borders, and then we'll pass amnesty. Or you'll be told, the Democrats are, for amnesty, and the, Republicans are against amnesty. Or you will be told that, we really need more legal and illegal immigration to fill our job needs in America. And as I'm going to show you, this is just a total crock of shit. It really is. So, when you're watching TV, what they really like to do is they like to keep you focused on this small frame of the world, which I've just described here. Okay. What they don't want you to see is what you would see if you did a lot of research on the internet, like using Google, or maybe you watch Alex Jones, or maybe you read Global Research, or in immigration, maybe you go to the FAIR site and see what their their view of immigration is, or Refugee Resettlement Watch, that Ann Cochran does, or one of my favorites is Numbers USA. And so that's the difference. So we're being really dumbed down. What they don't want you to see, which I've got along here, is what I call the big frame view of the world, and they absolutely don't want you to understand this at all. And in the big view of the world, we have the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And this is very important because Obama is 100% behind this Trans-Pacific Partnership. Neither liberal or conservative media will touch this with a 10-foot pole. It's secret. Even Congress doesn't know about it. It's basically being pushed forward by Obama's 0.001%. Basically the Fortune 500 corporations, the global banks, that sort of thing. Then there's internet censorship. Part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Obama would really like to cut off our access to these internet sources that have these alternative narratives, like we don't need any more immigration. The big frame of the world, which you won't see in the little frame, is they won't tell you that of these immigrants coming in, 90% of these immigrants evade the courts. They just blend into the society, and they're never going back. Another thing is Agenda 21, which is sponsored by the United Nations, and that's also represented at the top, because this is the template for global domination by global banks and corporations. And Agenda 21 is about, taking away our land, opening the borders, controlling the internet, controlling us. And it's all for the, for the benefit of these global banks and corporations, which, destroyed the Middle East, they've destroyed our economy, they've offshored our jobs, and that sort of thing. So again, to summarize, we've got the, the little frame view of the world, which is at the bottom, and then we have in the middle, we've got the Democrats and the Republicans. Democrats controlled by Soros and Tides, the conservatives by Koch and their group ALEC. But the interesting thing is that when you get to the top of the pyramid, what you find is that both the Democrats and the Republicans are basically have the same agenda. They want open borders. They're pro-immigration. They're pro-corp. They want to gut the internet and that sort of thing. So, again, I'm just presenting this because I want you to have kind of a framework, if you will, to understand what I think is really going in the world right now. And as I say at the bottom of this chart, this is basically how legal citizens are misled about the negative consequences of mass immigration. Okay, so we've done that. Now I just want to touch on a couple things, about Obama and these events that started unraveling about June 30th of this year. So, on June 30th, President Obama said the following thing. He said, Good afternoon, everybody. 1 year ago this month, senators of both parties, with support from the business, labor, law enforcement, faith communities, came together to pass a common sense immigration bill. You know, common sense if you're a village idiot, I suppose. And then he goes on to say, independent experts said that bill would strengthen our borders, grow our economy, shrink our deficits. As we speak, he says, there are enough Republicans and Democrats in the House to pass an immigration bill today. I would sign it into law, and Washington would solve the problem in a bipartisan way. Now, what I want to bring your attention to is that, you're kind of thinking as a dumb American, oh, grow our economy. That means more jobs for American workers, right? And now I'm going to share with you something that they are not telling you. I mean, they're not, the mainstream media, both liberal and conservative, they're not talking to you about, that Agenda 1 is behind all this. They won't utter a word, hardly, about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, because the Trans-Pacific Partnership is the worst trade deal in history. It's going to result in the loss of literally millions and millions of additional American jobs. It's going to result in foreign corporations being to buy up, local, local government and things like this. It's a terrible, terrible deal. And like I say, you really need to read up on it. So the next thing I'd like to do is, let's take a look at Obama, and let's expose what you're not seeing about this guy. I mean, basically my premise is Obama is essentially a globalist corporate whore. He's a puppet for the 0.001%. He's a proponent of the North American Union, which has now been rolled into the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And what this will do is destroy the sovereignty of the United States, so that these Mexican immigrants are going to be able to basically work anywhere in Canada, the United States, or Mexico. So obviously this isn't good for us, because basic supply and demand dictates that if you increase supply, you reduce the demand for labor, and what happens? Wages and benefits go down. And let's look at some of the other things on his face here. Let's see what we got. He's a betrayer of the legal citizens of this country, that's for sure. He wants a one-world government. He's poisoning us with GMO foods, and he's got his whole administration full of ex-Monsanto executives. And I write this all over his face. Am I missing something here? Oh, yeah, he funds Muslim terrorists. I mean, he's essentially funded ISIS through his support to try to destroy Assad in Syria, So anyway, I present this picture of Obama because I think this is what this guy represents. And I mean, if you go on Google and look up some of these terms, that's exactly what you're going to see. So the next thing I want to do is on Meet the Press on July 6th, and I'll include a link to this so you can read the whole thing. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, and we're gonna represent Jay Johnson, like this. This is Obama's guy, and he said on July 6th, he said, there are a number of things that the President and I, within the confines of existing law, can do to fix the broken immigration system, which he means open the borders, and we will. And then he says, if Congress doesn't act, we will. So what they're both saying is that they're going to act against the interest of American workers. And as I'm going to show you in a minute, the vast majority of jobs over the last 14 years have actually gone to legal and illegal immigrants. Now I'll read you a transcript of that. So that's Jay Johnson. So, you know, what Obama likes to do with most things, he likes to stay in the background. You know, that's why he didn't go to the border. He didn't really want to be, you know, he thinks somehow that's going to insulate him from, you know, what's going on. You know, but then, you know, the next thing we have to look at is, you know, this, you know, we'll say this will represent the American people. I mean, we are the ones that if we let these people in here, it's going to cost us literally hundreds of billions of dollars in welfare, education. We're already seeing immigrants getting benefits that Americans aren't even getting. You know, it's just ridiculous. We're like the little, you know, redheaded stepchild for the global elite these days, you know. So what Obama likes to do, you know, is he uses, you know, his underlings, you know, to do the dirty work for him, you know. So, you know, here he is, you know, he's shoving Johnson, you know, the people's face, saying, you know, it's in your, you know, best interest to, you know, support immigration, you know, reform and open borders and amnesty and give them a pathway to citizenship. But the fact is, this is a bunch of bullshit, man. It's going to destroy the... I mean, we're already under siege in this country. I mean, kids are graduating college with $30,000 in debt. They're ending up having to live back with their parents. I mean, we're getting screwed, you know. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. We're getting screwed. So, you know, let me kind of illustrate for you, you know, what's happening here. And I mean, it's the same thing that he's doing in using all these young kids that are getting raped by these Mexican drug cartels, which, I mean, it almost seems like he's in cahoots with them, you know. I mean, how did this all get organized? So, give me a minute. So, you know, this is basically what's going to happen to the American people if we allow them to get away with this. You know, I mean, we're going to get raped economically. I mean, you know, we're going to have all these people coming in here that don't even speak English, that don't share our social mores, that don't understand our Constitution, you know, that don't accept our you know, our First Amendment rights to free speech or many other things. I mean, this is not a good deal for you, the American people. So unless you want a bunch of banana all over your face, you know, today, this is the time to stand up to this bullshit. Now, we're done with that. This is important. And again, in the small frame universe, nobody is telling you about what I'm about to tell you, okay? So, I'm going to read an excerpt from this report. It's, The Big Lie Exposed. Report shows foreigners taking all jobs created in the last 14 years. When did you hear that on Fox News or MSNBC or CNN? No, they do not want you to understand this. You're already getting screwed. And you're going to get royally screwed if you don't stand up and demand that every one of these kids and their family members are sent home immediately. You know, and the funny thing is, because Coburn was saying the other day, I mean, Obama wants $3.7 billion basically to keep these illegal immigrants here. And Coburn said the other day, he said, you know, for $8 million, you know, just a mere fraction of, you know, 3.7 billion, we could all put them on a first-class flight home and be done with this, you know. And of course, you know, we have to close the borders. Anyway, this is a report by the Center on Immigration Studies, and it makes just clear how badly we're getting screwed. According to a new report from the Center of Immigration Studies, net employment growth in the United States since 2000 has gone entirely to immigrants, legal and illegal. Using data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Stephen Camarado and Karen Ziegler found that there were 127,000 fewer natives, legal citizens, holding a job in the first quarter of 2014 than in 2000. Meanwhile, the number of legal and illegal immigrants with a job increased by 5.7 million above the 2000 level. I mean, if this doesn't get you pissed off, man, you must be half dead. So, in light of this, the Center on Immigration Studies offered the three following conclusions, which go completely against the lies and bullshit of Obama. Remember how you told you, your Obamacare was going to be cheaper? Look at how that worked out. So here is their conclusions. First, they said the long-term decline in employment for natives, legal citizens, across age and education level is a clear indication that there is no general labor shortage, which is a primary justification for the large increases in immigration, skilled and unskilled, which you're seeing in the Schumer-Rubio bill and similar House proposals. And again, I'm telling you, Schumer is a Democrat, Rubio is a conservative. They're both screwing us, man. The second conclusion was this: the decline in work among native-born over the last 14 years of high immigration and consistent with research showing that immigration reduces employment for natives. Again, we're getting screwed, and you see this in the universities. All these rich kids at U of M, Ann Arbor, many of us can't even afford to send our kids to school anymore because we're losing our jobs, and these same corporations offshored our jobs in factories. In fact, they're the same ones that have destabilized countries like Guatemala and Honduras, so these global corporations can exploit those people. So now we get to pay for their damage to those people when they come flying up here. Sorry, this just ain't gonna float. And here's the final conclusion, which is the trend since 2000 challenged the argument that immigration on balance increases job opportunities for natives. Over 17 million immigrants arrived in the country in the last 14 years, yet native employment has deteriorated significantly. So, think about this. Just between 2010 and 2014, the number of legal citizens getting a job has gone down by 127,000. Meanwhile, all these legal and illegal immigrants have taken like 5.7 million of the existing jobs, man. This is just insane, This is, I have all the empathy for these people, and I want to redefine NAFTA and the other free trade agreements. I want to stop TPP in its tracks, and I want to send all these people back. So it's not like I don't want to help them, but we are undergoing our own, existential humanitarian crisis right here in the United States. Look at Detroit. It's in bankruptcy. It looks like it looks like Dresden during the Second World War. Look at all the shootings that are happening in Chicago. We've got unemployment rates that are just going off the chart. We need to start taking care of our own people, okay? So, I'm sure I'll do more videos on this. I'm gonna, I'll tag on a lot of articles you can read that kind of expand on what I've just discussed. But, the things I want you to do is, one, I'm going to include a petition by Alapac, that you can sign. That's a good step. And then see what you can do in your community, maybe attend protests, whatever you can. But let me conclude. This is what I think needs to be done immediately. We need to, one, secure the border and implement E-Verify for all businesses across America. This alone will get rid of 99.9% of these illegal immigrants that are taking our jobs. Secondly, we need to send all of these child illegal immigrants that have come here, and we do empathize, but they need to go home because we cannot be the overflow valve for the world's population, I would really recommend you look at Numbers USA gumball demonstration. It's just frightening, what the number of people that want to come here. And the third thing that nobody's talking about, and this is something I've been talking about for 6 years, and it's finally getting some, a lot of acceptance, I would say, We need to demand an end to all legal and illegal immigration for at least the next 20 years, because it's going to take at least that long to get our house back in order. And as my old hippie friend Voltaire once said in Candide, you know, we need to tend our own gardens, you know, and that's what we need to do. We need to look out for our own people, and we need to encourage the rest of the world to do the same thing, you know, that we can be a global family, we can reduce our population growth, and we can reach you know, a level of sustainability so we can all be happy. Because the fact of the matter is wherever it is in the world, the main thing that's really driving all this violence is both U.S. policy, because we want all the Mideast resources, so we've funded, you know, these Islamic groups to destabilize them from the BRIC nations. That's a very complicated discussion. And, you know, these very corporations have commodified foods, you know, through hedge funds and derivatives, and that's what's driving the goddamn prices up, you know. So, this is going to be complex. You know, I just wanted to give you an overview today. You know, you can go read my articles that are on my Facebook page. I've probably got 60 of those. You can find out, you know, how I feel about other issues. And I've probably done a very good number on YouTube, and I'll provide you all those links. But I'm just telling you, my fellow Americans, my fellow legal citizens, if we don't stand up now, this existential crisis of immigration and the many that are coming our way in a perfect storm are going to destroy this republic. Your children, your grandchildren are at risk. This is the time to stand up, my fellow Americans. Thank you very much.